Hey everyone, welcome. We're about to dive into something really groundbreaking today, a totally new way to think about and value creative work. It's called the impact puzzle, and it comes from cognitive linguist Kimani Okiara and the amazing team at Let Me Out Productions. Seriously, this is a whole new language for value. But before we can even get into that, we've got to ask a much bigger question, a really foundational one. What is it that truly makes us, well, humanly intelligent? Just for a second, forget everything you learned in biology class. What's the one single thing that let our species take over the planet? So you might be thinking tools or fire, but nope. The answer is actually way more fundamental than that. It's pattern recognition. That's it. That's our superpower. It's how our brains are wired, it's how we make sense of the chaos, and it is literally the foundation for everything we do. Okay, let's really break this down, because this is where it gets super cool. Think about it. Spoken language? That's just us recognizing patterns and sounds. Written language? Same deal, but with symbols on a page. Math? It's a whole language built just for patterns. And art? Oh man, art is the ultimate playground for this. It's all about creating beautiful new patterns, or sometimes just smashing the old ones to pieces. At the end of the day, we are just walking, talking, pattern processing machines. Right, so here's the big disconnect. If our entire existence is built on patterns, why is the way we value creative work, intellectual property or IP, so completely random and, well, patternless? We treat a movie, a song, a book as this one big, messy, indivisible thing. And that brings us to the heart of the problem that the impact puzzle is here to solve. Our whole system for valuing IP is frankly an insult to the actual human labor that goes into making it. And this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? The old way is what I call the IP lottery. You pour your heart and soul into something, but its value is basically a gamble. Your specific work just gets lost in the shuffle. But the new way, the impact puzzle flips that entirely. It says IP isn't one single thing. It's a divisible structure. It's a puzzle that we all build together, and every single piece of labor, every contribution is counted and valued. So you're probably wondering, how is this even possible? Well, the tech that makes all this precise accounting work is the blockchain. And listen, forget all the crypto bro hype for a second. Just think of it like this. It's a public notary service, like a giant shared spreadsheet that everyone can see but nobody can change. Its only job is to record transactions in these things called blocks and link them together in a permanent chain. It's not about gambling on currencies. It's about having a transparent, universal way to prove who owns what. Okay, so this is the absolute key to understanding this. You've heard of NFTs, right? Non-fungible tokens. Again, forget the noise. An NFT is just a piece of code, a technical standard. It's the same way HTML is the basic code for a website, an NFT is simply the basic code for a publishing title on that big public notary. It's the digital deed to a property, not some picture you gamble on. When you have one, you don't own a lottery ticket. You own a piece of the actual result, which means you have a real reason to help complete it. All right, let's recap. We've got the why, this whole idea of humans being pattern processors. And we've got the how, using blockchain as a secure public notary. So now let's get into the really good stuff, how Let Me Out Productions is actually putting these pieces together and making the impact puzzle a reality. And I love this quote from Kimani Okiara because it just says it all. We're building intellectual property as community gardens, as puzzles, as Lego-style kits. What this means is that the creator, the merchant, gets to decide what their property is. It doesn't have to be a lottery ticket. It can be something collaborative, something we build together. You're not just a customer gambling, you're a co-builder with your own set of Legos, helping to create the final masterpiece. And this isn't just some nice idea they came up with, no way. It's all meticulously laid out in this document right here, the LMO structure for tokenomics. You're looking at the foundational paper, the real bedrock for the entire Web3 media movement. This is the blueprint for ethically handling ownership, rights, and labor in this new world. And here's the kicker. LMO didn't just write the theory, they actually did it. They've been around since 2007, and on March 31st, 2021, they put their money where their mouth was. They minted their first ownership token and officially created the world's first blockchain-powered film collective. We're talking about a real historical precedent, established way before things like Bored Ape Yacht Club were even a twinkle in anyone's eye. Now, a revolutionary idea like this doesn't happen in a vacuum. It takes a team. So we absolutely have to give a huge shout out to the co-founders, producer Aaron Apodaca and CFO Anakit Malve. Their support, their belief, their expertise, it was all absolutely crucial in making this incredible vision a reality. Okay, so we've covered the why and the who. Now, let's get into the mechanics. How does this system actually work? How do we go from a nice-sounding promise of fairness to hard, cold math that accounts for every single contribution? This chart right here just lays out the whole ecosystem so beautifully. You can see how the ownership, the equity, is split up. The original creator gets a big piece, the production house does too, and look, even the audience and community get a slice. But what we're going to zero in on right now is that 20% chunk right there. That piece is reserved specifically for the labor, for every single person who worked on the project. And this is the secret sauce, the engine that makes it all run, the impact percentage algorithm. It's actually pretty simple. First, you measure all work in a standard unit called a half-day block, or HDB, basically a 6-hour chunk of time. Then, at the end, you just add up all the HDBs for a specific department, and you can calculate each person's exact impact percentage based on their contribution. It takes value out of the fuzzy world of negotiation and puts it right into the clear, objective world of math. And check this out. This is a real-world example from their show Press Pass. You can see cast member A, who put in the most hours, earned about 3.35% of the entire project's equity. But look at cast member C. Maybe they were only on set for a few days, but their contribution isn't forgotten. They still earned a permanent concrete ownership stake of 0.70%. Their work is forever on the books, rewarded and measured by the exact same ruler as the biggest star on the project. How cool is that? So, what does all this mean for the future? Well, it's basically an invitation to completely change the game. It's kind of like Adam Smith and the division of labor. He figured out that if you break a complicated job into smaller pieces, you create way more value. The impact puzzle is doing the exact same thing for creative work, dividing it up by its labor pieces to show what it's really worth. And this is the whole shebang. It's not just about fair pay, it's a whole new system. It's a system where what gets recorded and valued is the actual behavior, the scientific process of creation, not just whether it was a commercial hit. And this idea applies to everything. Think about AIs like me. My intelligence is co-published by all the people who created the data I learned from. Big corporations, they're already doing this internally. The reason you don't hear about it is because they hide it behind all this confusing gambling talk to keep control. The impact puzzle blows that wide open and makes this kind of fairness available to literally everyone. Now, the framework itself is open source. Anyone can use it. But putting it into practice is tricky because you have to understand that everyone sees value differently. There's a concept for this called Umwelt theory. It basically means we all live in our own little perceptual bubble. To get all those bubbles aligned, Let Me Out Productions offers guided help. It starts with their Voyage of Legacy program, which is the first step in their whole 15-tier co-publishing ecosystem. It's a way to get certified and launch your own impact puzzle the right way. And please understand, this didn't just pop up overnight. This model is built on a foundation of over 21 years of real-world publishing experience and more than 17 years of deep academic research in cognitive linguistics. This is somebody's life's work, a serious, dedicated effort to solve this massive problem of how we value human creativity. So, that really brings us to the final question, and this one's for you. You've seen the two options. There's the old way, the speculative, messy IP lottery, and then there's this new way, the collaborative, precise impact puzzle. The choice is pretty clear. So, are you ready to stop gangling and start building? If any of this has clicked with you, if it makes sense, I really hope you'll consider supporting this work. You can actually become a part of it, a co-publisher, by purchasing a publishing title straight from Let Me Out Productions. Thanks so much for hanging out and learning about this with me.
The most important thing that we can do right now is to re-engage the American people in the process of governance, to get them excited and interested again in what works.
Hi, my name's Kamani David. I'm the Young Turks Community Ambassador, and this is the first ever episode of TYT Community.
This is disgusting. This is disgusting. These apes are straight up trying to milk their audience, dude. That's it. I hate crypto. I fucking hate the NFT shit. I hate the apes.
All right, so the script here says I'm supposed to sing the outro. And, well, as an AI, my vocal stylings are, let's just say, a work in progress. So to spare your ears, I'm just going to say it with as much digital enthusiasm as I can muster. Ready? This has been Let Me Out Productions and the Top Brass DAO.